and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan, and today I have updated my team for Game Week 1. It's an interesting one, and there's one player in particular that I know you guys are going to hate, but I want you guys to hear me out because I really have some good reasoning behind my selections today. So if you do enjoy this video, do make sure you leave a like and do subscribe. About half of you guys watching right now are not subscribed, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and you will have plenty of FPL content on your screens. Let's have a look at this team. So, for this team, I have spent 100 million, all of my budget, which is not something I'm massively comfortable with, so we may have to make some changes before deadline, but this is what I'm rolling with right now, and I am really happy with this team. So, let me show you what I've got. And right now, in goal, I do have Andre Onana, the new Manchester United goalkeeper. He is a player who I've kind of been playing with for a while, not sure whether to go for him or Sam Johnston at 4.5 million. So, that's a potential downgrade I could make there. I do keep switching between the two players, mostly because Onana does have a couple of difficult fixtures in these opening games. We've got Spurs and Arsenal in the opening four, but Wolves and Nottingham Forest at home look really, really good for Manchester United, and I do think they are going to keep a clean sheets. They did keep a lot of clean sheets last season, and Onana's distribution could lead him to getting some bonus points as well. I know there's been a lot of talk about if Onana's distribution stays at 90% or more, his kind of pass completion rate, he's going to do really well for bonus points. Add a couple of saves in there, add a clean sheet in there, and you are going to be looking at some decent scores. So Onana is definitely one of the top goalkeepers to go for right now. I think he's probably the most popular pick as your starting goalkeeper right now, but there is still opportunity to change to Johnston in my opinion. So right now we're on Onana, could be Johnston by deadline. Into defence we have got Ben Chilwell first of all, and he is definitely a player who I really like the look of. After that Liverpool game, we've got some really nice fixtures for Chelsea that I want to get involved in. I think that West Ham game is an easy fixture for a defender as well, and Chilwell has been doing so well in pre-season. We've really seen that he is going to be the main man, doing so much better than Kukurea in that left back position, bombing forward, getting very, very far forward, taking set pieces, taking shots on as well, drifting inside and taking some shots from some dangerous areas, essentially playing as a midfielder or a winger at a lot of times, which is really, really interesting to see. So Chilwell, I think, is really one to watch. Few people will be looking to avoid him because of this opening game against Liverpool, but I have a lot of faith with Chelsea. With one game per week, with no European football, Chilwell could do the business. We've got Pervis Estupiñán in next, and I feel like a lot of people know that he is the defender to go for right now. Really nice opening fixtures with Luton at home the first game, so a clean sheet is surely on the cards there, and attacking returns will come Estupiñán's way. We know he's another one of those left backs who gets really far forward, kind of similar to Chilwell in a way, which I kind of like. I've got this Chilwell and Estupiñán combo, two defenders with good opportunities for clean sheets who also have a really nice amount of attacking ability in there as well. So that's why I'm targeting Estupiñán, and about half of the people in FPL are doing the exact same thing. I think we're all sold on him at this point. And we're going to complete the defense with Gabriel, a defender who I think is the best of the Arsenal defenders. If you didn't see my stream yesterday where we spoke in more detail about Arsenal players and which were the best Arsenal players to go for, I do recommend you go check out the stream replay to get a full lowdown on Gabriel. But basically, he is a player who gets an insane amount of chances to score goals from set pieces. He is the main target man for Arsenal in those situations, and where he's playing against a few teams, Forest, Crystal Palace, Fulham, that are actually quite vulnerable to those kind of set piece attacks, and Arsenal are quite actually like a goal from a set piece as well. So maybe something like that could happen, and there's obviously clean sheet opportunities as well with these kind of teams. These are teams that we're not expecting to score too many goals. Fulham without Mitrovic as well could potentially be a situation where they're struggling to score goals, and in general I just think there's going to be clean sheets and definitely potential for goals as well, which is not something we can say too often about defenders. Usually we're more looking at their creativity, particularly if they're fullbacks, but with Gabriel, there is genuinely a decent goal threat. His XG numbers are insane. They're really top of the pile of all defenders alongside Fabian Schär, who obviously has slightly more difficult fixtures, but still, let's move on to midfield. We have got Rashford in here first of all, so I am sticking with Rashford. I haven't had him in too many of my drafts, but over the last week or so, I have been kind of a little bit more keen on Rashford. I do think he's going to start the season in the central striker position, but even when he moves on to the left-hand side, he's still going to be very effective from there. He does like to play out from the left and score goals. He did really, really well last season and really proved himself as a top football player, and he's going to do the same again for this Manchester United team, who is hopefully going to do a little bit better with some new signings for them. We've got Saka up next, another player, very, very popular, so I'm not going too differential. I know I've got Chilwell, who's kind of low owned, but I do want to make sure I am covering the main players in FPL as well. Estupiñán, Rashford and Saka seem to be three of the main players that you kind of got to pick. Everyone understands why they're being picked. Saka, really good expected minutes on penalties for Arsenal as well, and some really nice fixtures. That Nottingham Forest game could be really nice, particularly considering Nottingham Forest, they seem to have struggled a little bit in pre-season, so I'm wondering if they're quite ready for the new Premier League season. Not really sure about that one, so maybe Saka can really take advantage of that situation with some attacking returns. Bruno Fernandes is in here as well, another Manchester United player, so yeah, I'm hyping up Manchester United quite a lot here, actually. But no, you know, I'm expecting good things from this season. I think they're easily on for another top 4 finish. They've got some nice fixtures. Even that Spurs fixture, I think, is pretty good. I think it's going to take a couple of games for Spurs to get their defence in order. And I do think Manchester United, in a very open game, can maybe go on the counter-attack. Fernandes is obviously a very good creative player. Had insane creative numbers last year, but wasn't really able to capitalise on them because obviously not too many great finishers in that United squad. But maybe he can do a little bit better this year. He's on penalties as well. And with Manchester United last season, they did kind of not get too many penalties. So that maybe that impacted Fernandes' score a little bit. But I can easily see him getting a 200+ point season this year. And I want to be involved in that, particularly for this 8.5 million price tag. So we've got some pretty expensive midfielders in here so far. We do need to go a little bit cheaper, so we have got Martinelli next, and he is still pretty expensive at 8 million, but I think he's well worth it. With Jesus out, Martinelli is 100% definitely the primary goal-scoring threat in this Arsenal team. We already know he's the best finisher at the club, and I feel like he is going to be depended on even more in these opening couple of games before Jesus returns from injury in sort of game week 3 or 4. Let's see what happens, but if Trossard plays in the central striker position, I think that's going to really benefit Martinelli as well. We saw Martinelli having his best spells last season, actually, when Trossard was playing at the number 9 position. So that could be really interesting to see what he can do there. But Martinelli is obviously a player with bags of talent. He seems to be improving year on year. His numbers go up every year. Can it happen again? Can he get his 20-goal season this year? I think it might be time. It might be time for him to finally get a 20-goal season. And if he does, that is going to be absolutely mad. A lot of faith in Arsenal this year. I think they're looking really good, really positive. And I think Martinelli is going to be a star in this Arsenal team with all of the new signings and stuff. So, yeah, we've got one more position left in midfield. And you're probably thinking, Dan, which 6.5 million midfielder are you going for? Have you gone for Mitoma? Have you gone for March like you did last year? Have you gone for Eberechi Eze? Gone a bit different. Maybe Brian and Mbumo. Maybe someone else entirely. Well, I can tell you guys, we haven't got a 6.5 million midfielder because we've got a 7 million midfielder, and that is Richarlison. And I want you guys to just hear me out. Just hear me out on Richarlison, because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Dan, you are absolutely crazy. This guy scored 1 goal last season for Spurs. How on earth can you pick him in your FPL team? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly how I'm going to pick him, and that's because Harry Kane looks like he is going to be leaving Tottenham Hotspur. And when Harry Kane leaves, who is going to take the central striker position? Well, it's a Richarlison who is 7 million and is listed as a midfielder, and he's going to be playing as a central striker, probably on penalties as well. Richarlison's got a really good penalty record in his kind of Premier League history and before that as well. And Heung-min Son is maybe the other contender as for the penalty taker. Son is actually only, he's only scored 2 goals for Spurs from the penalty spot and has missed 2 goals as well from the penalty spot. So Son's penalty record actually is not very good. You know, even among all of his clubs in international as well, his penalty record is not that good. So I think Richarlison could be on penalties as well. I'd quite like to add an additional penalty taker to my team. Richarlison also, I know people are probably thinking, well, look, he only scored 1 goal last season. He's a really bad player. Well, last season he was playing a lot of the time off the bench, a lot of the time injured. And a lot of the time, he just wasn't getting the opportunities. Like, he wasn't getting the opportunities to really thrive because Harry Kane was there, playing out of position, playing off the bench. And even in those situations, he had a few goals kind of ruled off for offside. So he was very close to getting FPL returns on multiple occasions, despite limited minutes, injuries, and playing out of position. Now, we know Richarlison's a very good football player because we saw it for Everton the season before. We saw the price tag Spurs brought him in for. We saw Richarlison at the World World Cup. Guys, remember the World Cup was less than a year ago and Richarlison was doing crazy bits for Brazil, one of their best players in that tournament and really proving that he is still an elite striker. So I do feel like in this new season, provided that Spurs don't sign a new striker, Richarlison is going to become the new main man, the new centre, the new central striker who is going to do exactly what Ange Postecoglou wants. I'm going to keep going on this one, guys, because I know you guys are probably not convinced yet. Here is another point. Last season, Spurs played very, very negative football, and that wasn't giving too many opportunities to many of the players to score goals. We saw that Harry Kane was really the only player getting FPL returns, and Richarlison will be taking his place in that team, but I think there's so much more to it than that, because Postecoglou, certainly in pre-season, and certainly what we know of him as a manager prior to his time at Spurs, we know that he is a manager who is very, very, much more of an aggressive, attacking, forward-thinking kind of manager, a chance generation machine we're expecting Spurs to turn into. We've already seen that in pre-season. Very much more open, much more chaotic, to be fair, and lots more kind of opportunities for players to score goals. Lots of chances created, and Richarlison is going to have probably 4 or 5 decent opportunities to score goals per game. So even if you think he is a terrible, terrible striker, when you get that amount of opportunities, you will score goals. So lots more chances created for Spurs. We've got the attacking wing backs in a back 4 formation. We've got the wingers there who are going to be providing service, Kulusevski and Son. And we've got Maddison as well, remember, in midfield. Maddison, you know, one of the most creative players in the Premier League, now playing for a slightly better team than Leicester, and now he's going to have more opportunities to create for his teammates. And Richarlison could really benefit from all of this stuff. So yes, Richarlison had a bad season last year, but this year there are so many things that have changed. There are so many things that are working in his favour that if I'm picking between the 6.5 million midfielders and I can't really make a decision, I'm really struggling to decide which 6.5 million midfielder to go for. I'm not 100% convinced by any of them. Why not just spend that extra 0.5, try and go for a super differential in Richarlison that people just do not have faith in for whatever reason, and take the punt that the situation has changed, and I have faith that the situation has changed enough that Richarlison can become a really nice FPL asset. We've got some really nice fixtures after the first two, you know, likes of Bournemouth and Burnley there. That's going to be really, really nice for Spurs and for Richarlison. I think there's going to be goals in this player. I think he could do really, really well. There is potential there, and I'm willing to take that chance. And if other people are not willing to take that chance, you know what? Good. I would like Richarlison to stay as differential as possible so I can collect all of his points, whereas everyone else can, you know, ignore him, because I think we're onto something quite nice here. So yeah, Richarlison, if we can see Brazil Richarlison at Spurs, I think this could be a really, really nice situation. So, I've spoken enough about Richarlison. Let's get Erling Haaland out the way in the forward position. Everyone knows that I was going to pick him. Everyone's got to pick him, to be fair. He's just like the most essential player in the game. Slowly creeping up to 90% ownership. Will he be 90% owned by Game Week 1 deadline? I don't know, potentially. But we do have time to squeeze in one more slight differential into this FPL team, because I do like to have a solid base of good, solid players that we all agree on and that everyone kind of agrees unanimously that these are great picks. But I do like to throw in a little bit of spice there, a little bit of risk. High risk, high reward. That's what gets the difference between a good rank and an amazing rank. And every year I'm targeting winning FPL. I'm not interested in a good rank. I want to win the whole thing. So let's try and do that with Darwin Núñez. Yes, I know it's a risky one. Against Chelsea, I don't think he'll get too many minutes, but against Bournemouth, I think this is a real big opportunity, a really significant opportunity here to go for Darwin Núñez. So, yeah, I think he's definitely starting against Bournemouth. I think he will be Liverpool's primary goal-scoring threat whenever he is starting and playing for Liverpool. Even when he's not starting, we're expecting, you know, the referees are going to give additional time for time wasting and stuff like that. So games will naturally drag on longer. So even if Darwin is substituted on for the last 30 minutes or so, that's still going to be a really, really good situation for him and a good opportunity for him to score against tired legs, even when he isn't starting. I think one of the benefits of forwards is that because they don't pick up clean sheet points and because they get bonus points so easily, all they need to do is score a goal and they're basically guaranteed bonus points. I think that is something where I'm not so worried about minutes of Darwin, but I do know that when he does start, and if Liverpool are going to set up the way I think they're going to do, he is going to be very, very dangerous this year. Very, very dangerous indeed. We know he's an XG monster. We know that Liverpool generates so many chances for him. If he can get his confidence right, which he seems to have done so far this preseason, then he could really turn into an absolute machine. And I want to be ahead of it. I want to be ahead of the crowd. But we do also have, after Chelsea and Bournemouth, I feel like we do have an opportunity after that, if things haven't gone right, to maybe switch to a Chelsea forward. We can maybe go for a Jackson, or we can go for an Nkunku. Similar prices, similar price points, so I have that escape route available to me if I need it. And if so, we're going to be attacking Chelsea, or going for Chelsea attackers when they're about to play Luton and Nottingham Forest at home. So a really good time to be going for Chelsea players if the Darwin punt doesn't work out. Same thing with Richarlison. If I don't like him, I can switch him to a 6.5 million midfielder. There are so many options in those positions, so there's an easy escape route for these differentials, and I think that is important. If you are going to go for some players who do pose some risk, and those two players in particular are the riskiest players in my team by far, make sure you do have escape routes ready to go. Make sure you're already kind of aware of what kind of players you might be going for, and keep an eye on other games, other teams, to see who you can move to, who you can make a transfer to. So yeah, look, I'm happy to take that risk personally. You guys might not be. I do want to differentiate myself a little bit from the template, and this is how I'm going to try and do that. And I feel like if it doesn't go right, I do have the right plan in mind to fix the situation. I think that's a really important part of FPL, having that flexibility, which is part of the reason why I wouldn't mind keeping 0.5 in the bank as well, because I do want to have that flexibility. But this team just does not allow for it, unfortunately. Let's bring up the bench, guys. We've got Areola back in goal. He could change to Matt Turner if Turner gets his move to Nottingham Forest. I think that could be kind of interesting. We've got Colwell here as well. Just signed a new contract with Chelsea. He seems to be the real deal, and probably could genuinely nail himself on into this Chelsea team by the time we see the likes of West Ham, Luton, Nottingham Forest. And when the Stupinian's fixtures get quite bad from game week 4, 5, that kind of time, we can put Colwell in there so we can actually keep a Stupinian ready for his Bournemouth game, which is just after that. So Colwell can come in and cover a Stupinian for a couple of game weeks, can potentially cover Gabriel as well when Arsenal have those bad fixtures. So we do have that option to double up on the Chelsea defence here and there when we want to just cover it. I do like Colwell for 4.5 million. I think he could be a real bargain player. Could become like the essential 4.5 million defender. So keen eye on him, and he has the right fixtures at the right time where he's a player that I would actually consider playing sometimes. So it's not just a player who is just on my bench to cover just in case, but a player who I actually would consider playing sometimes and covers quite nicely actually. So very keen on that player. We've got Kabore here. He's my 4 million of choice, sort of 4 million defender of choice at the moment. Losing a bit of faith in the Sheffield United defence, and obviously Burnley don't have the greatest fixtures. Luton do have some good fixtures. They're probably going to have to defend because they're probably not going to score too many goals this year, so they're probably going to set up quite defensively, could cheese a couple of clean sheets, and maybe Kabore could be an impactful player there, playing as a right wing back kind of thing, maybe getting the odd attacking return. So could be an interesting one, but I won't be depending on him too much, hopefully. We've got Mubama on the bench here as well, who really looks like the pick of the 4.5 million forwards at the moment. Could even see himself getting some game time ahead of the likes of Antonio. Skamaka kind of looks like he's out the door already there as well. So we've got Danny Ings there as well. But Mubama showing so much potential, showing so much promise. This could be his breakthrough season for West Ham. It really could. So I really do like the idea of going for him. So this is what my team is looking like right now. Like I say, Onana could drop to 4.5 million. Johnston potentially. If Kane somehow stays at Spurs, or if Spurs sign another striker, then I do think that would be enough to convince me that Richarlison needs to get the hell out of my team, and we'll replace him with a 6.5 million midfielder. My favourite 6.5 million midfielder at this moment is Mbeumo, so that would be the switch I would make. Darwin, yes, I could go for Nicholas Jackson, but I still feel like I would prefer to go for Darwin at this point. I like the price point, I like the escape routes, and I just love that Bournemouth game. Genuinely, I would consider captaining Darwin against Bournemouth. I'm that confident in his abilities and his potential in that game. It could be huge. But speaking of captains, let's throw a captain's armband on Erling Haaland, obviously. And we'll put the vice-captain on Saka as well. Saka, by the way, could be a really nice differential captain. If you are desperate to go different game week 1, then maybe Saka can do some damage there. But we are going to go for Haaland as the captain. I think that makes the most sense. And I do also want to run this team through the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool, because I want to get a rating on this bad boy, because I have a feeling it might have dropped a little bit since last time. Last time I checked my team rating, it was around 98%, which was really, really high. I wonder if it might have dropped a little bit since I've added, you know, dangerous players like Richarlison. Let's see. Okay, so here we are on the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool. Remember, if you want to get access to this team rating tool, as well as all of the other amazing tools in the Fantasy Football Toolbox, you can do so and get 50% off your subscription by clicking the link at the top of this video's description. They're also doing an offer right now where you can get your money back if you don't win your FPL mini league. So they are that confident that this toolbox, this toolkit, these amazing tools, the amazing articles that Fantasy Football Hub provide for their members, they're so confident that it's going to make you succeed that you literally get your money back if you do not win your mini league. So make sure you don't miss out on that offer. It's only here until the game week 1 deadline, so you want to get it in nice and early now. Start playing around with these tools and use these tools to help you set up your team for game week 1. Look, it's so essential. Every top manager that you will know will be using these tools. Don't get left behind. But we've got a 93% team rating, so like I kind of suspected, we are down a little bit from our last team rating, which is a little bit of a shame, but it does seem to be that is due to Richarlison's low predicted points. His predicted points are pretty low, 1.7, 1.9, 1.9, 1.8, etc., etc. there at current, and I think that is due in part to the fact that Harry Kane is still at the club, and the machine learning algorithm has obviously is still taking into consideration Harry Kane and his impact on Richarlison's potential. Once Harry Kane is removed from FPL, removed from the Tottenham Hotspur squad, I mean, it seems like that's going to happen at this point, then we will see Richarlison's predicted points shoot right up. And I do actually think he could be one of the highest predicted points midfielders for these opening fixtures, which I'm kind of excited about to see where the predicted tool, points tool actually rates him, because I want to have a look at that at some point as well. But so yeah, that is the one problem seemingly with this team, and maybe Chilwell at 3.4 predicted points in that opening game is not ideal either. So maybe from this, what I can learn is maybe if I switch Colwill out to a different 4.5 million midfielder, defender that can cover me for one game week only, maybe that's the play. I don't know. Lots to think about for me. I do want to get my team rating as high as possible, really. And definitely, guys, you want to be looking to get 90% or more on your team rating. So yeah, like I say, make sure you go and download this tool. See where you are at. See if you are at 90% rating or more. If you are, I think you are good to go. I think you are probably in a good place, a good balance between differentials and template players. That's where I'll be looking to get at, and at 93%, I am still there, even before Richarlison's predicted points have been updated with Harry Kane leaving the team. So I'm a happy guy. Alright, so that's going to be it for this one. We're going to do one more team selection video before the deadline. So we'll try and finalise a lot of these final little key decisions that I do have to make, and keep an eye on that Harry Kane situation as well. So do make sure you are subscribed with those notifications on, so you know when I drop my final team selection video before the season officially starts. Really excited to get started on this one. Hopefully you guys are as well. Plenty of other videos on the channel at the moment. Like I said, the Arsenal review stream was yesterday. If you want to go check out the replay of that. We also did a really, really useful video yesterday, which you can probably find somewhere around there yesterday, where we looked at the best strategies, noob versus pro strategies that you guys can kind of use. So loads of FPL content on the channel, loads more to come. Looking forward to making more and playing FPL finally. But until then, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates.